I was in love with my sister for 10 years. But from the moment I confessed, she became as cold as ice. She took back everything she had ever given me, including her warmth. She even hurled insults at me. You're not even the heir to a fallen fortune. We took you in out of pity, and you dare to have feelings for me? You're a charity case punching way above your weight. Dream on. To make me give up for good, she started dating the very man who ruined my family and drove my parents to their deaths. And she succeeded. I stopped liking her, and I stopped loving her. I spent a year paying back the debt of her decade of kindness, and then I vanished from her world. I never expected that after I left, she would lose her mind, searching for me everywhere. Sonny, please come back. Your sister was wrong. The one I love is you. After packing up everything I owned, I stood and stretched my back. There wasn't much, really, just a suitcase and a backpack. As for the things Candy had given me over the years, I gathered them all and left them on the table. Almost all of them were from before. After the year I graduated high school and told her how I felt, she never gave me another gift. They were old things, some of them faded with time, but I had treated each one like a treasure. Now, though, they were all going back to Candy. I couldn't take them with me, and I didn't want to. After a sip of water, I walked to Candy's room. The last time I'd been inside was 4 years ago. Back then, before I had revealed my heart, we were incredibly close. Her room had a large skylight, and I used to come in often, lying on her bed with her to watch the stars. But that was all just a memory now. Even though it had been 4 years, I still found my way to her storage closet without thinking. The room was mostly the same, with one exception. All the photos of the two of us on the walls had been replaced. Now it was just pictures of her, or of her with Jason Collins, the boyfriend she'd started seeing a year ago. Seeing Jason's picture made me clench my fists. If you want to know why I finally gave up on Candy, you could say it was because of him. Jason Collins had been my family's business rival. For the sake of profit, he engaged in malicious competition that bankrupted our company, driving my parents to jump from a building with no other way out. I was only 10 years old. The Stewart family took me in because my parents had helped them when their family was at its lowest point. My parents were gone, my family was destroyed, and for a while I felt like my entire world had collapsed. And Candy, she was the ray of light that pulled me out of that abyss. It took her a whole year. She stayed by my side every day, taking me all over the place just to lift my spirits. I got into a cartoon, so she had the Stewart family buy the rights to the entire company just so I could watch it whenever I wanted. Even when she went to college, dozens of miles away, she never stayed in the dorms. She came home every single day to be with me. Once there was a serious earthquake and the house started to collapse. She made it out safely, but she turned right around and came back for me. The exit was blocked, so she pulled me under the bed and held me, shielding me with her own body. Because of what happened to my family, I became withdrawn and couldn't connect with anyone. I didn't have a single friend at school. I clearly remember Candy holding me, kissing my cheek, and saying, "Don't be scared, little Sonny. I'm here. Even if the whole world abandons you, your sister will always want you. When we grow up, I'll marry you, be your wife, and take care of you forever." Every time I looked at her, I felt like my world finally had color again. I smashed my piggy bank, took all the coins inside, and ran to a little shop across from the school to buy a pair of cheap plastic rings. When I got home, I presented one of them to Candy. She teased me. Shouldn't a proposal have a little more ceremony? In that instant, a stroke of genius hit me. I dropped to one knee. Candy smiled and held out her right hand, letting me slide the ring onto her finger. "There," she said. "From now on, I'm your fiancé." And that's how things were all the way until I graduated from high school. On the day of my graduation, I told her how I truly felt. I had always believed our feelings were mutual, but reality came crashing down on me. It was also her birthday. I bought a bouquet of roses and, with a bit of liquid courage, confessed my love. In front of all her friends, she threw the flowers on the floor, crushed them under her heel, and screamed, "Sonny, I'm your sister. How could you?" I argued back, "We're not related by blood, and you promised me when we were kids." She shoved me away, her expression grim. "Sonny, That was just something I said back then because I was afraid you'd hurt yourself. Did you actually take it seriously? How embarrassing. With that, she threw me out of her birthday party. I became a running joke on her Facebook feed. The little brother has a crush on his sister. What a joke. He's probably just after the Stewart family money, a total gold digger. The rumors spread like wildfire. Even when her friends insulted me right in front of her, she never defended me again. All because I was the little brother and she was the big sister. But we weren't related by blood at all. Was it so wrong for me to love her? Even though I was completely humiliated, I didn't give up. If it hadn't been for her, I wouldn't have even made it to the streets. I would have starved to death long ago. That changed a year ago when she got a boyfriend and brought him home to spend the night. That was when I started to give up. The man was Jason Collins, the monster who destroyed my family. That night, I got into a fight with him. I lost. I was covered in bruises with 2 broken ribs, while he just had a small cut on his lip. And Candy, she sided with him, lecturing me before slapping me across the face. Sonny, all's fair in love and business. Your parents couldn't handle the pressure, so they jumped. Who can you possibly blame for that? Let me make this clear. Jason is my man now, and he'll be my husband in the future. You're just some kid we took in. If your parents hadn't helped my family, do you think I would have ever given you the time of day? If you ever try something like this again, you can get out of my house. I just stood there, stunned. I couldn't believe these words were coming from the person who once risked her own life for me. After yelling at me, she rushed Jason to the hospital, probably because if they waited any longer, his tiny cut would have healed on its own. Meanwhile, I had to find a stick to use as a crutch and hobble my way to an urgent care clinic. From that day forward, I started to understand that my love for her might have been a mistake from the very beginning, and that I would always be an outsider. But she had raised me for over a decade, and I had to repay that kindness. So, for this past year, I explored my options. I'd always been good with words, so I tried writing. To my surprise, it went incredibly well. I published a book and became a minor success. I earned nearly $10 million from it. Then I sold off my family's old properties, the house, the land, anything that had value. That brought in another $10 million. Combined with my book earnings, I had $20 million. That should be enough to repay my debt to her. I'd received my college diploma a few days ago. I was officially an adult out in the world now. I couldn't disturb her life any longer. After all, this house would soon have a master, and it wouldn't be right for an outsider like me to remain. I rummaged through the storage closet and, just as I expected, found the cheap plastic ring I'd given her tossed in with the junk. She had worn it every day until I started college. After my confession, she took it off. I picked up the ring, put it in my backpack, and carried my suitcase downstairs. The family's housekeeper, Mrs. Davis, saw me and sighed. "Young Master Sonny, are you really leaving?" I nodded. For the 4 years since my confession to Candy, her friends and strangers alike had gossiped about me and judged me. Only Mrs. Davis ever treated me like her own son. After that night, Candy cut off my allowance. "You're an adult now," she'd said. "It's time you learn to support yourself." Other than letting me stay in the house, I was completely on my own. When I first started college, I didn't have any skills, so I handed out flyers for a few dozen bucks a day, which wasn't even enough for bus fare. Life was hard. It was Mrs. Davis who would secretly slip me cash. I found out later that her own husband was paralyzed and her son was in college. She was supporting their entire family on her salary. The money she gave me each month came from cutting her own son's allowance in half. So I came to see Mrs. Davis as my own family. She was the only one I told I was leaving. I took a debit card from my pocket and handed it to her. "Mrs. Davis, there's $2 million on this. It's to thank you for taking care of me all these years." She refused to take it, but I reminded her of her family situation. With $2 million, their lives would get better. Mrs. Davis hugged me, her eyes filled with tears. "Child, no matter where you go, if you get tired, you can always come back. I have a little house back home. I could take care of you." I nodded and smiled. "Okay, Mrs. Davis." As I was about to leave, she asked, "Are you sure you don't want to say goodbye to Miss Candy?" I glanced at the birthday gift I'd left for her by the door. "I'll go see her one last time." I called a cab and went to the private resort where Candy was having her birthday party. She hadn't invited me, of course, and showing up unannounced would surely earn me another lecture. But it didn't matter anymore. Even if she yelled at me, it would be for the last time. I asked the driver to wait for me at the gate. I checked the time. My flight was in 2 hours. Plenty of time to see my sister one last time. Holding the gift, I stood at the door and took a deep breath. Then I pushed the door open. Inside the hall, dozens of pairs of eyes turned to me. In the next moment, a mix of expressions crossed their faces: disdain, pity, and contempt. These were all high society people, after all. It was only natural they'd look down on a freeloader like me who had dared to develop feelings for the woman of the house. Jason and Candy were sitting together, sharing a drink. When Jason saw me, a smirk of disgust crossed his face. He wrapped his arm around Candy's waist and stared at me with open provocation. I felt nothing. My heart was already at peace. My nemesis, my rival, it didn't matter anymore. Candy seemed perfectly comfortable with his arm around her. She looked at me and frowned. "What are you doing here?" I replied, "It's your birthday. I came to give you your gift." I walked over and placed a box in front of her. She glanced at it coldly. "I don't need any gifts from you." My voice was calm. "This is the last time. It won't happen again." For the past few years, every gift I'd given her had been thrown away, along with everything I'd ever given her in the past. It was for the best. I had kept everything she gave me, and she had thrown out everything I gave her. This final gift was the $20 million to repay her. After this, we would be even. "I don't want it. Take it with you," she said. "Just take your things and go home." She really didn't want anything from me. But if she didn't accept it, I would feel indebted to her forever. I shook my head. Jason chimed in with a sneer. "Sonny, you're still just a kid who just graduated. Money must be tight. Look around. Every gift your sister received tonight is a luxury item worth thousands. Even if your heart is in the right place, what could you possibly afford? Some cheap trinket that she would never use and would be embarrassed to own. You should just take it back and save it for some girl you date in the future." The crowd around us erupted in laughter. A flash of embarrassment crossed Candy's face. I was, at least on paper, the adopted son of the Stewart family. Her brother in name. Her expression darkened, and she slammed the gift down on the floor in front of me. "Take your gift and get out of here. Stop embarrassing me. If you don't leave right now, don't ever come back." Seeing her rage, the last wisp of affection I had for her evaporated completely. I let out a long sigh, feeling a sense of relief I had never known before. "You're the one telling me to leave, Candy. You were the one who brought me into the Stewart home. And now, you're the one kicking me out." I adjusted the backpack on my shoulders, letting my body relax. Then I smiled at Candy. "Happy birthday." And with that, I turned and walked out the door without a backward glance. As soon as I got in the cab, the driver asked, "That was quick. Didn't you ask me to wait for half an hour?" I nodded. I didn't think it would be so fast either. "Let's go." The driver didn't ask any more questions and headed for the airport. I popped the SIM card out of my phone, tossed it out the window, and inserted a new one. I watched the setting sun outside the window. It felt like that ray of light that had once pulled me from the abyss was finally fading away. But I was stronger now, not as fragile as I used to be. What's wrong with being free, a novelist traveling the country, maybe even the world? Goodbye, Candy. Candy watched his back disappear through the doorway, a storm of emotions churning inside her. She downed several drinks with her friends. Halfway through the party, one of her friends, heading for the restroom, noticed the discarded gift on the floor. "Hey, this gift box just has a debit card and a book in it." Her friend picked up the card. "A debit card and a book? Your brother is one of a kind. There's a card reader at the front desk. Let's see how much is on it." The woman brought over the machine and checked the balance. The number that appeared on the screen left her speechless. $20 million. The entire room fell silent. Candy's face paled. She rushed over and snatched the machine to see for herself. Jason came up beside her. "Where would that kid get that kind of money? He must have stolen it from you." "Impossible." Candy shot back without a second's hesitation. Even though she had been cold to Sonny for years, they had still spent more than a decade together. She knew his character and trusted him. Just then, her friend opened the book. The title was My Sister's Love After I Was Gone. The author's name is For Candy. Isn't this that novel that's been all over the internet lately? Candy, why would your brother give you this? Candy took the book from her friend's hand. For some reason, her heart began to pound in her chest, as if something terrible was about to happen. One of the younger guests at the party was whispering the author's name to herself. Suddenly, her eyes went wide, and she looked at the group. For Candy, for Candy, Candy, isn't your brother's name Sonny? And your name is Candy. For Candy. The entire hall fell completely silent. Candy stared at the card and the book in her hands. She remembered what Sonny had said just moments before, that this was the last time. A wave of panic washed over her. She fumbled for her phone and called the house. The second the call connected, she asked frantically, "Mrs. Davis, is Sonny home yet?" The answer she received made her freeze. "Miss Candy, I thought he left? His flight was tonight." "What?" Candy felt like she was about to explode. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Mrs. Davis explained. "When he left, he said he was going to see you to say goodbye." "Did he not find you?" Candy's mind reeled. When Sonny had shown up, she hadn't given him a chance to say a single word. How could he have told her? If she had known he was leaving, she never would have let him go. Candy hung up and immediately tried calling Sonny's number. She called a dozen times, but it never connected. She frantically called Mrs. Davis back. "Mrs. Davis, you have to go to the airport right now and stop him for me." Mrs. Davis sounded helpless. "Miss Candy, it's too late. His plane is about to take off." Candy asked, "Do you know where he was going?" Mrs. Davis sighed. "He didn't tell me. I assumed he would tell you, Mississippi." Candy deflated, slumping into a chair as if all her strength had left her. A flicker of anger crossed her face. "Sonny Miller," she whispered, "how dare you run away?" Jason walked over and put a hand on her waist, trying to comfort her. "Candy, he's just a charity case. Let him go, it's no big deal. It's your birthday, later tonight we can." "Get lost," she screamed. "Who do you think you are?" Candy slapped his hand away. "Don't forget, you're just pretending to be my boyfriend. Do you really not understand your place? I'm telling you now, if it wasn't for Sonny, I would have destroyed the entire Collins family months ago." Jason's face flushed with shame as he stood there, completely embarrassed. Candy grabbed her phone and keys and sped toward the airport, running countless red lights along the way. Notifications for traffic violations flooded her phone. She pulled up to the airport and jumped out of her car, just in time to see a plane taking off, flying directly over her head. "Sonny," she screamed at the ascending plane. Even if Sonny could have heard her, which he couldn't, there was no way for him to get off. Candy's legs gave out, and she collapsed to her knees on the pavement. She clutched the book, My Sister's Love, after I was gone, to her chest. Only now did the regret truly hit her. "Sonny, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way. I was just too scared to face my own feelings, worried about everything." The truth was, Candy had always loved Sonny, but she was terrified of the age difference. Today was her 31st birthday. Sonny was only 22. A full 9 years separated them. She didn't want to hold him back. He deserved someone better, she thought. That's why she had been so cold, hoping he would give up on her and find a nice girl his own age. When Candy first took over the Stewart Corporation, her very first move was to target the Collins family business. She drove their company into the ground, saddling Jason's family with massive debt. Jason himself had come to her, begging for mercy. At the time, desperate to push Sonny away, Candy had offered Jason a deal. She would spare what was left of his family's company if he did one thing for her. He had to act in a play with her. He had to pretend to be her boyfriend. She never imagined it would end like this, that she would literally drive Sonny away. She was filled with regret. Regret for going too far. Regret for running away from her feelings for him. 9 years. What did a mere 9 years matter? "Sonny, please come back. Your sister was wrong. I love you. It's always been you." Candy begged the airport staff to check Sonny's flight information for her, but they refused. It was a violation of passenger privacy and couldn't be disclosed. Real life isn't a novel. No matter how much money you have, you can't just snap your fingers and get what you want. Candy didn't even remember the drive home. She collapsed on the sofa, feeling like a zombie. Suddenly, a thought struck her, and she flew up the stairs to her room. She began frantically tearing through the storage closet. The ring. My ring. Where's the ring Sonny gave me? Mrs. Davis stood in the doorway and sighed. He took it all with him, Mississippi. Candy froze. The next second, she started screaming and smashing everything in sight. The framed photos of Jason were shattered into 1,000 pieces. She had put those pictures up specifically to hurt Sonny, to make him give up hope. Now, they were the target of her rage. When she was done, she went to Sonny's room. It was perfectly neat and tidy, and completely empty of anything belonging to Sonny. The only things left were on his desk. All the gifts Candy had given him before that fateful night 4 years ago. She wiped a tear from her eye, went back to her own room, and pulled a large box from under her bed. She opened it. Inside were all the gifts Sonny had ever given her, and all the photos of the two of them together. She had packed them away years ago, telling Sonny she'd thrown them all out. But they were all here. She held a photo of them in one hand and his book in the other. She had read the book. The main characters were so much like her and Sonny. A love story with a 9-year age gap. And in the end, the two of them were separated forever. She had never let herself think about it too deeply. But if she had, it would have been so obvious. A story about a 9-year age gap, a title like My Sister's Love After I Was Gone, and an author named for Candy. I'm such an idiot. A complete and total idiot. The clues were so obvious, but she had refused to see them. She had always assumed that once Sonny gave up his romantic feelings, they could go back to being a normal brother and sister. That way, she wouldn't hold him back, and their relationship could return to what it once was. She never imagined this would be the outcome, and that she would be the one filled with regret. Sonny, your sister was wrong. I was so wrong. Mrs. Davis watched her, her heart aching for the girl. They both clearly loved each other, and they weren't even related. What did a few years matter? Why did they have to torture each other this way? Mrs. Davis sighed, then said, young Master Sonny mentioned he wanted to travel the country. His first stop was Savannah. He said he might stay there for a while. In an instant, Candy shot up from the bed. The color returned to her face. Mrs. Davis, thank you. I'll double your salary when I get back. No, I'll multiply it by 10. With that, she bolted from the room. Mrs. Davis called after her, forget the raise, just bring the young master home. After arriving in Savannah, Sonny found a hotel overlooking the river. After a few days of exploring, he saw he had dozens of messages from his editor, all demanding the final chapter. So, early the next morning, he took his laptop to a gazebo by the river. There were a few older men fishing nearby and some young couples out for a walk. The gentle breeze was perfect for writing. He opened his laptop and uploaded the chapter he'd finished the night before. He stared at the final chapters, lost in thought. His book, My Sister's Love After I Was Gone, had been running for over half a year and had made his career. The first 8 volumes were already in print. This final volume was just waiting for his ending. He hadn't updated in a few days, and his editor was losing her mind. He'd been thinking about the ending, too. He just didn't know how to write it. The hero and heroine of his story had been kept apart by a series of misunderstandings, even though they both loved each other. A part of him really wanted to write a happy ending, where they cleared the air and got together. But then he thought about his own life, and he gritted his teeth. If I can't be happy, neither can you, he muttered to his characters. I'm finishing this tonight. He placed his fingers on the keyboard. Suddenly, a familiar voice spoke from right beside him. If you write that ending, you're going to lose at least one fan. Sonny jumped, spinning around. He couldn't believe who he was seeing. You? How are you here? Candy was standing there, still holding his book. She smiled. It's always been about Sonny dreaming of Candy. Can't Candy dream of Sonny for once? Sonny was completely confused. What is she even talking about? He snapped out of it, grabbed his laptop, and tried to run, but Candy blocked his path. She grabbed his arm. Give your sister 3 minutes. If you still want me to leave after 3 minutes, I promise I will never bother you again for the rest of my life. Sonny didn't say anything. Candy's voice became soft and pleading. Little Sonny, please give me a chance. Just 3 minutes, not a second more. For the sake of the sister who was always so good to you when we were kids, please. It had been so long since Sonny had seen her like this. The last time was 4 years ago. Without thinking, he nodded. Candy's face lit up with joy. Yes, I got my man back. Candy put her hands on her hips and looked at Sunny. Now you listen to me, little Sunny. Every single word I'm about to say is the absolute truth. And if I tell a single lie, may I be cursed to never have you in my life.